have you here tonight. And hi, Joy. It's good to see you.
Laura.
So as we get started tonight, I really feel like I had so many different things going on in my head as far as what I wanted to do for class tonight. And I think partly because overnight there is going to be a full moon, which is the worm moon in March. And then we're also rapidly approaching the vernal or the spring equinox, which is a time where night and day are relatively even. The sun is right in the middle at the equator. And so even if it's not in your beliefs or your practice to follow things with the sun or the moon or believe in different energies that they might bring up, I think it's still a really cool time to stop and reflect on the fact that we have all of these different cycles that go on constantly, and that cycles aren't necessarily a bad thing. I think sometimes we think about getting, stuck in the same pattern, but really, I think that cycles can be a way of deepening understanding, of deepening practice, of coming back and revisiting things and seeing them in a new way. So I thought we would take both that idea of this full moon and also welcoming the sun back up to the Northern Hemisphere. So with that, I wanted to start today with a balancing sun and moon breath with Nadi Shodhana, which is also known as alternate nostril breathing. So many beliefs, including yoga, believe that the two different sides of the body represent different things, that the right side is the sun side, which is masculine, energizing, heating, and then the left side is the moon side, which is feminine, cooling, calming. And so with alternate nostril breathing, we have the opportunity to breathe in and out, alternatively to balance those energies within our body through our breath. So you can find any way to sit that's comfortable. We can feel your spine tall. Maybe close your eyes or take a soft gaze, looking down. And take a moment just to arrive, just to notice what's going on in your body. Maybe embrace the sounds around you, knowing that we can't always control our surroundings. And just allowing everything to be without judgment. I'd like to take 3 deep breaths together, maybe in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. Good. Again, inhaling into your belly, expanding your rib cage, and exhaling, letting go some. One more time, inhale through the nose and exhale out the mouth. Good. To begin alternate nostril breathing, you'll take your right hand and place your first 2 fingers down. And then you'll be using your thumb and your ring finger to alternately close above your nostril flare. So not quite in your nose, but a little bit higher to close there. And then you can place your left hand in your palm. I like to take a mudra with my left hand. A lot of times I do Yana mudra, which is placing your first finger and your thumb together, and then all the rest of your 3 fingers extended, but you can do whatever is comfortable for you. And then placing your hand up, your right hand up by your face. Take an exhale out the nose as you're ready. And then close your left nostril with your right ring finger and inhale through the right. And pause at the top. And then switch your hand so you're closing your right nostril with your thumb and exhale out the left. And keeping your hand where it is, inhale through the left. Maybe pausing at that space right in between your eyebrows, and then switching, exhaling out the right. Inhaling right, Switching your hands to cover your right nostril and exhaling out the left. Good. Inhaling left. Pausing in the middle and exhaling right. Doing this at your own pace. Knowing that if it's not comfortable for you to have your hand up by your face, you can just imagine breathing in through one side and then out through the other. Stay with this for maybe about 4 more cycles of breath. Feeling that balancing of sun energies and moon energies, of masculine and feminine, warm and cool. And then the next time you exhale, you can bring your hands down to your lap. My hands are actually feeling a little bit cold after that. So I'm going to invite you to rub your hands together and create some friction, create some energy, maybe using some love and compassion. And as you feel ready, take your touch to any part of your body that's calling for attention. So that might be covering your eyes and your forehead, maybe your neck, maybe your lower belly or your heart. And breathe with the kind touch of your palms. And then now bringing both hands to stack at heart center. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest. And maybe choose to set an intention for your practice tonight. And then as you feel ready, please make your way onto your back to find a constructive rest pose. So in constructive rest pose, your feet are maybe a little bit wider than hips distance apart. Your toes might come to towards each other in a pigeon toe position, so that your knees can just gently fall together so you don't have to hold anything. And taking this moment to, again, arrive in this shape. Maybe taking the time to roll your shoulder blades a little bit more under your torso. And then bringing your feet wider now, maybe about as wide as your mat, or even a little bit wider. Taking an inhale, see if you can imagine the back of your head and your tailbone sliding away from each other across the floor. And then exhale, just feel your navel fall down into your abdominal cavity as if resting on your spine. Taking one more inhale, and then exhale, dropping the knees over to the left to windshield wiper twist. Then inhale, coming back to center, and exhale, going over to the right. Doing this for a few cycles of breath, following your own speed, knowing that my cues might be faster or slower than your breath, and you should always feel free to listen to your own body. This is your class. I'm just here as a guide. Good. One more time, each side. Good. And then the next time your knees are up towards center, you can hug your knees into your chest. Maybe rock from side to side, taking just a pause here, finding whatever movement to help release through your lower back. And then on your next inhale, straighten your legs and maybe reach your hands all the way up overhead on the ground beneath you, taking a full body stretch. And then as you exhale, you can grab the strap that I didn't get one for myself somehow and grab the strap and put it around the ball of your right foot. And then once that strap is there, you can extend your right foot into the air. And notice how if you pull on that strap, your left leg might come off the ground a little bit, and see if you can ground strong into the back of that left leg, even if that pulls your right leg away from your torso a little bit. Feeling that neutral spine along the ground. On your next exhale, with the strap in your left hand, pull the strap or pull your leg over to the left any amount, crossing your body. So it might just be a couple inches, or maybe you go a little bit deeper, knowing that we're just waking up through the hips, so no need to go to your maximum. Inhale, come back to center. Switch your hand so the strap is in your right hand now, and then open up out to the right. You might even put your left hand on top of your left hip bone to help ground a little bit stronger through that left side. And then inhale, come back to center, and exhale, take the strap in both hands and bend your right knee in towards your right armpit. And then inhale, re-lengthen through your right side, getting just a little bit more of a hamstring stretch. And then exhale, release your right leg to the ground to meet the left. Then bending your left knee into your chest, place the strap around your left foot now. And then as it's around the ball of your left foot, you can straighten your left leg towards the sky. And then again, feel that sensation of really strongly grounding through the right side of your body. And then with the strap in your right hand, cross your midline, bringing your leg over to the left any amount. Knowing that this might feel different from side to side, and that's okay. And then inhale, coming back to center, and switching the strap into your left hand and opening out to the left. Again, maybe even placing your right hand on top of your right hip as you breathe into the inner left groin. Inhale, back to center. Then exhale, place the strap in both hands and pull your left knee in towards your left armpit. Inhale, straighten that leg back up. And exhale, release your left leg to meet the right. Maybe take one more big full body stretch because it feels really good right now on your inhale, getting more space between your fingertips and your toes. And then exhale, pull your knees into your chest again, maybe lifting your head towards your knees. And then from here, we're going to make our way onto all fours. So you could roll onto either side in a fetal position, or if you want to rock and roll on your spine, you could take a few breaths to do that as well. And then in your own time, making your way to your tabletop in all fours. Once you're there, taking the time to really spread your fingers out wide and notice what it feels like to push the pads of your fingers into the mat. Untuck your toes. Notice what it's like to push the tops of your feet into the mat, and how these tiny little changes can make adjustments through your body. On your inhale, again, imagine the crown of your head moving away from your tailbone as if you keep getting more and more space in between each vertebra. And then on your exhale, pull your navel in towards your spine and round through your back, tucking your chin. And then inhale, coming back through neutral, maybe gently lifting your tailbone up and lifting your chest, raising your gaze just slightly if that's safe in your body. And then exhale into your cat pose. And inhale into a neutral spine, or maybe just a little baby cow pose. Good, taking 2 more breaths. And this balancing movement throughout the front and back of your spine. And then the next time you inhale, please come to a neutral spine. And then as you exhale, again, pull your navel in toward your spine and shift your hips back towards your heels about halfway. And then inhale, scoop your chest back up into tabletop, and exhale, again, shifting your hips back, this time coming all the way back to child's pose. And staying in child's pose for just a couple breaths. You can choose any version that feels good for you, but see if you can find a place where your forehead can make contact with something so you're not having to hold your head. So if your forehead doesn't easily come to the mat, you could put some blankets or a block under your forehead, or I like to stack my fists one on top of another. Taking a big inhale, seeing if you can feel that expansion, particularly through your back ribs. And as you exhale, you might feel that warm breath coming back from the mat. Inhale, please rise up to all fours. And then exhale, tuck your toes and lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Keeping your knees bent at first in your downward facing dog so that you can take the time to feel and accentuate the length of your torso. Maybe pedaling out your feet, taking about 2 more breaths here to find any movement or stillness that your body is longing for in your first downward facing dog. And then on your next exhale, come to stillness. Then inhale, return to all fours. And exhale, push back into child's pose. We're going to move dynamically through that. We're on your inhale, come to tabletop. And exhale, lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. So alternating downward facing dog and child's pose. Inhale to table and exhale to child's pose. Inhale, table, and exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Keeping with that dynamic movement for a few more cycles of breath. Maybe even closing your eyes. Trying to just allow your breath to guide you without having to think too much. And the next time you are in downward facing dog, pause there. Maybe take a big inhale, feeling your belly expand. Then exhale, sigh. Inhale, look forward. Walk your feet to meet your hands and find a halfway lift, pressing your palms to your shins. Spine is long and parallel to the ground. And then exhale, release into a forward fold. Inhale, coming back into that halfway lift, but this time bring your hands all the way up to your hip crease. Bring your elbows back towards one another. And then bending into your knees, send your hips back and make your way all the way to standing and find mountain pose. Good. Taking a moment just to make any adjustments, feeling your feet about hips width apart, tailbone very gently moving down towards the ground. Noticing your shoulders fall away from your ears. The crown of your head might move skyward. Take a couple of sun breaths. Inhale your arms wide. You could keep them wide or you could go all the way up overhead. And then exhale, gather your palms together at heart center. Good, twice more like that. Inhale, arms wide, all the way up overhead. And exhale, gathering your palms together to heart center. Good, once more. And coming back. Good. This time, inhale your arms wide, pausing with your arms parallel to the ground, and exhale, bringing your palms together at heart center. Inhale, bringing your palms up towards the sky, maybe shifting your hips forward a little if a back bend is safe in your body. And then exhale, shift your hips back, arms come wide, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale into a halfway lift, and exhale, bring your palms to the mat and bring your left foot back into a low lunge. Bringing your left knee to the mat. You can always put a blanket underneath your knee if that works best for you. And then inhale, lift up. You could just lift your torso and have your hands on your hips, or you could lift all the way up into a low crescent, pushing the top of your left foot into the mat. And then exhale, bring your palms to the mat. Launch off that back left foot to find a halfway lift. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slight bend in the knees, arms come wide, reverse swan dive, coming all the way up overhead. And then exhale, palms together at heart center. And then inhale, sweeping arms wide. Maybe they come all the way up overhead. Then exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale into a halfway lift. And exhale, palms to the mat. This time bringing your right foot back into a lunge. Bringing that right knee to the ground. And option to stay here. You could lift your torso up, putting your hands on your hips, or come all the way up into a low crescent. Taking one more inhale to feel a sense of lifting up and out of your pelvis. And then exhale, palms to the mat, launching off that back right foot, coming back to a halfway lift, and then forward fold. Inhale, slight bend in the knees, arms come wide, reverse swan dive. Then exhale, hands by your side, mountain pose. Good. Inhale, arms wide, all the way up overhead. And exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale into a halfway lift. And exhale, palms to the mat. Move both feet back this time to plank position. Taking an inhale, feeling strong in your plank. On your next exhale, bring your knees to the mat. And find a tabletop position again. We're going to be on your knees for a little bit here. So if you know that your knees are talking to you, you could place a blanket underneath your knees. So from here, please bring your right foot straight back behind you. Bring your left toes off to the side. So you're like kickstanding your right toes. And then turn and plant your right foot so that your right toes are facing the long side of your mat. And then stack one shoulder on top of the other. You could place your right hand on your right hip for a kneeling side plank here. If you choose, you could lift that right hand up into the air. And you can stay here, or if you want to play with a kneeling half moon, you can lift that right leg up off the ground so that it's parallel. And if that foot is lifted, see if you can really activate through that right foot as if you're trying to push your right heel into the wall behind you. Beautiful. Good. And then placing that right foot back on the ground if it's lifted. You can place your right hand back on your hip if it's lifted. And then using the help of your left arm, can lift your torso all the way up to standing. Good. From here, place your right hand on your right leg, and then inhale, lift your left hand into the sky, and then exhale, tilt your body over to the right any amount, getting a big side stretch on that left side. Good. Maybe looking down at your right thumb. And then inhale, coming back to center. From here, please place your hands on the floor out in front of you. So you're almost in a tabletop position, but your leg is out. Take a breath or two to maybe rock forward and back or side to side, getting whatever opening feels good to your body. And then putting your weight in your right hand, you can lift your left hand out to the side so that it's parallel to the ground. And then thread the needle, bringing your left hand in between your right arm and your torso until your left shoulder and left cheek find the ground. If this is uncomfortable for you to have your foot out to the side, you can bring your foot back in line right next to your right knee is right next to the left knee. Good, staying for one more breath. Putting that right hand wherever it's comfortable. And then as you feel ready, inhaling, coming back onto your hands, and then bringing your knees together. And take a moment to put your knees right next to each other and press them together, helping to reset through the spine. Good. From here, you can turn to the left, finding the top of your mat again, and make your way to plank pose. Good. Taking an inhale in your plank, then exhale, slowly lower down, bringing your knees to the mat, and then bringing your whole torso to the mat. Inhale, lifting through your chest for a baby cobra, and then exhale, push through all fours to find downward facing dog. Taking a full cycle of breath in your downward facing dog. Then inhale, coming to all fours again, kickstanding your right toes out to the right, and then straighten through your left leg, bringing your left toes so that they're facing the long side of your mat. And then as you feel stable with your your right hand right under your right shoulder, you can begin to stack your shoulders one on top of the other, bringing your left hand to your left hip, or maybe you reach that left hand up towards the sky. Good option to stay here, or you can lift that left leg to a kneeling half moon. Good, again, feeling energy moving all the way down through your heel. And then as you feel ready, placing that foot back on the ground if you've lifted it, placing your left hand on your hip, and then lifting your torso up to standing. Good. Allowing that left hand to slide down the outside of your left thigh. Inhale, lifting your right arm into the air. And then from that long torso, exhale, tilting your body over to the left any amount, making sure that you're feeling a gentle tuck in your tailbone so that your lower abs are protecting your lower back as you open all through your right side body. And then inhale, coming back to center, and then place your hands out in front of you, on the floor in front of you now. So you're in almost a tabletop position, except your left leg is out to the side. And taking a few breaths to find any movement. Again, maybe moving back and forth or side to side. Maybe even closing your eyes. And then pushing through your left hand, you could lift your right arm so that it's coming out to your right side and parallel to the ground. And then exhale, bringing that right arm in between your left arm and your body. And maybe coming all the way onto the outside of that right shoulder, resting your right cheek on the ground. Again, noticing if this particular position feels way too awkward for you, that's okay. You can make any adjustments you might need to make this work better for you. Taking one more breath. And then as you inhale, push into that left hand, coming back up. And then turn your body to the right, making your way back to the top of your mat and find your plank position again. Good. Staying in your plank for a moment to help reset through your spine, feeling your belly button pulled in as your tailbone moves down towards your heels. Let's stay for another breath. And then on your exhale, bend into your knees and lift your hips up and back to a downward facing dog. Taking a full cycle of breath. Again, maybe even sighing on your exhale. Inhale, look forward, walk, step, or jump your feet to meet your hands. Find a halfway lift. And exhale, release into a forward fold. Inhale, slight bend in your knees, arms come wide, reverse swan dive. Maybe coming up all the way overhead if that works in your body. And exhale, hands by your side, mountain pose. Good, take one breath. Feeling strong in your mountain pose. And then inhale, arms wide, overhead. Maybe sending your hips forward for a little bit of a back bend. And then exhale, send your hips back, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale into a halfway lift. And exhale, bring your palms to the mat, moving back, both feet back into plank position. Taking one inhale in your plank and lower down, either like we just did on your knees and then keeping your elbows in close to your side, or if chaturanga's in your practice, you could do that. And then inhale into a back bend. So maybe that baby cobra that we did, or maybe an upward facing dog. And then exhale, finding your way to downward facing dog. Inhale, please lift your right leg into the air. And on your exhale, bend your right knee, bring your right foot in between your hands, however you can get it there. Keeping that left heel up off the mat. You could choose to stay here, or on your inhale, lift your torso and maybe lift your arms up all the way overhead for a crescent. Good. Then exhale, palms to the mat, moving back to plank pose. Exhale, lowering down. Your choice of vinyasa. Inhale, lift into a back bend. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg into the air. And exhale, bending that left knee, placing your left foot in between your hands. And then beautiful option to stay here, or if you want some more uplifting energy, you can lift your torso upright, maybe bringing your hands all the way up overhead for a crescent lunge. Then exhale, palms to the mat, downward facing dog. Taking a full cycle of breath in your downward facing dog. Inhale, look forward, walk, step, or jump your feet to meet your hands, halfway lift. And exhale, release into a forward fold. Inhale, slight bend in your knees, arms wide, reverse swan dive. And exhale, mountain pose. Good, inhale, this time sitting back into chair pose. And please know you could have your hands at heart center. You could have your hands just out and parallel to the ground, or lifting them so your biceps are next to your ears. Pausing here for a moment. See if you can feel a very gentle tuck of your tailbone, which is gonna encourage your abdominals to engage here, to take pressure out of your lower back. See if you can maybe lift your chest up a little bit higher. Good. Taking one more inhale, maybe deepen into your chair a little bit. And then exhale, bring your palms to heart through heart center and find a forward fold. Inhale into a halfway lift. And then exhale, bring your palms to the mat, this time moving back to downward facing dog. You can stay in your downward facing dog, or if you want more movement on your next inhale, you could take another vinyasa where on your inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, lower down with your choice. And inhale, lift into a back bend. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg into the air. And then exhale, bring your right foot right behind your right wrist. And then your left foot comes down in its own lane to prepare for warrior one. So as you feel ready, keeping that right knee bent on your inhale, rise up. And maybe your hands stay on your hips. Or if, again, you want more of that uplifting energy tonight, you could have your hands up overhead. Good. So your back toes are going to face mostly forward. And then I have been a very unprepared yoga teacher today, so I should have told you all to have some blocks at the top of your mat. So if you don't have blocks already here, you can laugh with me and take a moment to find them. Good. And then from here, please place your hands on your hips and then straighten that front leg. Pull your right hip back in space a little bit and inhale. Again, see if you can use your inhale to lift your torso up a little bit higher. And then exhale with that long torso, hinge at your hips until you can't hinge anymore. And then you could stay here if this is what's best for your body, or you can choose to round through your back, allow your hands to travel down your leg, maybe holding onto your leg, or placing blocks on either side of that right foot, giving you something to rest on so that you can let go, particularly through your back body, from the crown of your head down the back of your neck. And as you do that, relaxing through the back body, see if you can pull that right hip back a little bit more. And notice what that does to open up through the back of your leg, right leg. Then inhale, bend into that right knee and lift back up to warrior one. And then from warrior one, bring your hands to your hips again. And we're going to transition into warrior three and then into a revolved half moon. So just so you know where we're going and what that might be like for you. So having the blocks out in front of you, you can begin to shift your weight into your right foot and maybe tilt your torso forward a little bit. You can tap those left toes on the mat behind you, or you can bring your torso so that it's parallel to the ground and maybe lift that foot, that left foot up so that it's parallel to the ground. I love having blocks underneath my shoulders in a warrior three, whether I use them or not, just as like a sense of safety. So some days balance is more tricky than others. So it's a wonderful option to stay right here. Or if you want to play with moving into a revolved half moon, you can place your left hand on the block. I like to use mine at the highest height, and then bring your right hand to your right hip crease and see if you can push that right hip away from you a little bit and check in with that left foot to make sure that you're still active through that left foot. And then from this place, on your next exhale, you could rotate over to the right any amount, trying to twist and stack your shoulders. And you might bring that right hand up overhead, or maybe you keep that right hand right at your hip crease. Taking one more breath wherever you are. And then as you feel ready, bend into that right knee, bring your left foot back down behind you. Find warrior one. One more time. Good. And exhale, palms to the mat, downward facing dog. Taking a full cycle of breath here. You can choose to stay in your downward facing dog or take another vinyasa here. Inhaling, coming forward to plank. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lifting your left leg into the air. And then on your exhale, placing that left foot right behind your left wrist, and then grounding your back right foot so that your toes are facing mostly forward, keeping that left knee bent towards 90, and then lifting up into warrior one. Again, beautiful option just to keep your hands on your hips in your warrior one, to notice what your hips are, where your hips are in space, and if you need to pull that left hip back a little bit. And then on your next exhale, you can bring your hands back to your hips and straighten through your left knee. And inhale to get as much length as possible through your spine. And then from that long spine, exhaling, coming forward any amount until you can't hinge anymore. And know that if you're feeling this at all in your back, it's totally okay to bend into that front knee as much as you need to. Good. You could stay here, or you can begin to round through your back, allowing your hands to just glide down your legs, or maybe they find the blocks. Again, seeing if you can release your head and your neck. Releasing through your back body, but still actively pushing into both feet here. So your legs are really strong and active, and that left hip is pulling back. Taking one more cycle of breath here. And then as you feel ready, Inhale, bend into your left knee, coming up to warrior one just briefly. And then exhale, bring your hands to your hips. Begin to shift your hip forward or your weight forward, into your left leg. And maybe begin to straighten through that left knee a little bit. Just play with your balance, maybe tip your torso forward, and then maybe lift those right toes up. Again, you can have your blocks right underneath your shoulders to help you with balance, or maybe you bring your hands to prayer position. Wherever you choose to be, stay there for one more breath. Beautiful options, everyone. And then again, you could stay in your warrior three if that's serving you well, or you can place your right hand on a block and then bring your left hand to your left hip crease and act as if you're trying to push that left hip crease away as you push actively through the heel of your right foot. And then on your next exhale, twist over to the right any amount. This is as far as my body wants to go tonight, but if you would like to extend your left arm up towards the sky, you could do that. And again, try to find some playfulness in this revolved half moon. I think that's what the moon would want. And then as you feel ready, coming back to center, and then bending into that left knee, find warrior one. Good, and then exhale, palms to the mat, downward facing dog. Taking a full cycle of breath here. Maybe sighing after all that work, letting that go. Inhale, look forward. Walk your feet to meet your hands, halfway lift. Then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend into your knees, lift through chair pose, and then push through your feet to come all the way to stand. Again, maybe taking a back bend if that's safe in your body. And then exhale, hands by your side. Good. One more time, inhale, sweeping your arms wide, up overhead. And exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, palms to the mat, come back to plank pose. Good, taking an inhale in your plank. On your exhale, bring your knees to the mat. Then with your elbows in close by your sides, lower your whole body to the mat. Good, keeping your hands right by your sides, place your forehead on the mat, untuck your toes, push the tops of your feet into mat. And as you push, notice how that lifts your knees up away from the mat to activate through your legs. Pulling your navel in towards your spine. On your next inhale, lift your head and your chest into a baby cobra. Pausing in your baby cobra here, notice that you could even take your hands off the ground a little bit, that what's holding you up is really that strength of your upper back. And noticing your gaze, that you don't need to crank your neck up, that you can just set your gaze right out the front of your mat. Good. And then on your exhale, release one cheek to the mat, and you can extend your arms down your side and just release through your back body. Maybe your ankles turn away from each other. Good. Allowing yourself to just be. And then as you feel ready, bringing your head back to center, re-engage through those legs. And this time, keep your hands down by the sides of your hips. Push into your feet and inhale, lift your head and your chest as if you're trying to reach down toward your toes. And then you might stay right here, or you could play with lifting one foot or maybe both feet off the mat for a fuller version of a locust pose. Good. As you do, make sure that you're checking in particularly with your lower back so that your belly button is pulling in towards your spine, helping to protect that lower back from getting too much extension. And then on your exhale, release your opposite cheek to the mat. Again, just take a moment to feel your front body connected to the earth. and relax and receive through your back body. You might even get in touch with the feeling of your heart beating, with your chest connected to the earth. Feeling the balance of both sides of your body, both front and back, and that left and right, that feminine and masculine, heat and cool. And then as you inhale next, you can bring your head back to center. Bring your hands right by the sides of your chest. Pull your elbows in toward one another. And then using the strength of your chest and your arms, push yourself up into all fours. And then cross one shin over the other and make your way into a seated position. Taking your time to get there. Send your legs long out in front of you for staff pose, just for a moment. Placing your hands down by your sides. Taking a moment to notice how this feels in your body. Staff pose is really difficult for a lot of us. And if you notice you're rounding through the back, just allow that to be okay, and maybe bend into your knees a little bit more so that you can, again, feel that length of your spine. Good. And then from that long spine, pull your feet in and bring the soles of your feet together and find cobbler's pose. Good. So just allowing your knees to drop wide, no need to force them out to the side or down. And then with your hands on the insides of your knees, with the help of your hands, straighten your legs into a wide leg seated position. Good. Again, taking your hands by your sits bones, making any adjustments that you might need. I'm going to face this way so as not to confuse everyone. So place your left hand on the inside of your left leg, and then inhale your right arm up into the sky, and then exhale, tilt your body over to, or your torso over to the left any amount. And if this is too much on your shoulder, you could have, or your neck or your shoulder, you could have that right hand right on your right rib cage. But wherever you are, as you open through that right side of your body, see if you can ground a little bit more through that right sits bone. And if it's safe in your body to both bend and twist at the same time, you could take your hand, your right hand, and place it on your solar plexus, and then turn your body to face your left straight leg and find a forward fold. If it's not safe for you to do that, come back into a tall seat, and then turn from that long spine, turn your torso over to the left, and then find a forward fold over that left straight leg. Good. Staying here for about 2 slow breaths. And as you open up and let go through your back body, feel that groundedness, particularly through that right side. And then on your next inhale, staying forward folded, you can just walk your hands down the center. Maybe re-lengthen your spine, and then exhale, release into just a little bit more of a forward fold. And inhale, re-lengthen through your spine. And then with the help of your hands, make your way back up to seated. Good. Placing your right hand on the inside of your right leg now. Inhale, lifting your left hand up to the sky, or again, maybe on your left rib cage. And then exhale from that long spine, getting a side bend over to the right, opening up to your left side, noticing your gaze. Notice if it feels better for you to look up towards the sky, or if that's too much for your neck, you can always look down. Good. Taking one more inhale, feeling the openness of your left ribs without collapsing through that right side waist. And then again, option to bring your left hand to your solar plexus and then begin to shift your body over to find a forward fold. But again, that's not safe for a lot of us. So you might want to just come up out of that side bend, and then from a long spine, turn over your right leg And then find a forward fold, pressing through the back of your left leg. Releasing through your head and your neck. Maybe even using your breath to breathe into any places that feel like you might be holding unnecessarily. And using that exhale to just invite a sense of relaxing and letting go. And then inhale, walking your hands to the center, maybe re-lengthening through your spine a little bit. And then exhale, releasing into that forward fold down the center. And then inhale, re-lengthen through your spine and walking your hands back to help assist you to make your way back to seated. Good. All right, with the help of your hands, bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet back together again. And then bring your hands by the sides of your sit bones in your cobbler's pose here, and see if you can just gently roll your pelvis forward and open your chest so you get a little baby back bend in your cobbler's pose. And then coming back to neutral, then bring your hands out in front of you, hinge forward, hinging at your hips until you can't hinge anymore, and then maybe rounding through your back. Staying here for a few breaths now. Again, never forcing, especially in a forward fold. Just practicing that patience, maybe tapping into that calm full moon energy. Taking one more breath. And then as you feel ready, using your inhale to re-lengthen through the spine, make your way back up to seated, and putting your hands on the outsides of your knees, bring your legs together, and then send your legs long after being bent in your cobbler's pose. Shake them out a little bit. And I'm gonna have you make your way onto your back, and you can use your hands to get there, or if you want some more abdominal engagement on the way there, you can bring your hands out in front of you. Pull your navel in toward your spine, and then slowly roll down as if you're trying to articulate your spine as one vertebra at a time makes contact with the mat. Good. And then taking a moment in your constructive rest pose, just as how you started. Again, noticing this cycle, this beginning and ending. Noticing that even though we're in this position that we were at the start, maybe it feels different this time. And then bringing your feet in line with your hips now, and pull your heels so that they're maybe about 6 inches away from your sits bone, so that you can just kind of barely not touch your heels with your hands. Press your feet in the back of your arms and the back of your head actively into the mat. And then on your next inhale, lift your hips any amount into a bridge pose. Pause there. Taking one more breath, feeling this gentle inversion, the energy and fluid moving maybe in an opposite way than it usually does. And then on your exhale, slowly return. Again, articulating your spine, using the strength and control of your abdominals until your bottom of your sacrum meets the mat right at the bottom of your exhale. Please bring your arms out to a T, and then bring your knees in towards your chest. Then exhale, allow your knees to fall over to the left any amount. Just finding a twist that feels comfortable enough to stay for a few breaths. Maybe a twist that invites a feeling of letting go. Feeling your breath come in through both nostrils. Move all the way through your body. And then inhale, bringing your knees back up to center, making any adjustments you might need. So then find a twist with your knees falling over to the right, knowing that you can find, again, any twist that feels nourishing to you in this moment, knowing that it might be not as deep or deeper than it was on the other side, and just allowing what is for a couple breaths. And then on your next inhale, please bring your knees back to center. Hug your knees into your chest and then bring your knees wide so that your shins are parallel to the ground and your knees are coming towards your armpits. You could stay right here, or you can lift the soles of your feet up towards the sky and find a happy baby pose. You can hang on to the backs of your thighs, or if it's easy for you to grab the outsides of your feet with your hands, you could do that too. Maybe gently rocking from side to side. And then using this time to make your way into your final rest position, knowing that you can take any other poses you might need or want, that you have the time and the space to make yourself as comfortable as possible. If you're in the studio and would like a sandbag or a blanket over you, please let me know. I would be happy to help make you more comfortable. And at home, again, taking the time to put on warm clothes, maybe making your way to some furniture or a wall, putting your legs up, or just stretching long across the ground. Releasing any control you had over the breath throughout your practice. Just allowing the natural rise and fall to return, that natural ebb and flow. Noticing that your breath is just like any other cycle, like the monthly cycle of the moon, or the yearly cycle of the earth around the sun. Feeling your body increasingly heavy, trusting that it is being held by the earth. There's nothing that you have to do right now other than to just be. You can let go. Feel your muscles melting away from your bones. Just allow your awareness to go inward. You might keep your awareness inward or listen to these words from Mary Oliver. In March, the earth remembers its own name. Everywhere the plates of snow are cracking. The rivers begin to sing. In the sky, the winter stars are sliding away. New stars appear as later blades of grain will shine in the dark fields. And the name of every place is joyful. Please know if you are practicing at home that you are free to stay in this rest position for as long as you're able. But if you would like to close up class with us in the studio, I'll invite you to begin shifting your awareness back into the space around you. Begin to maybe deepen your breath. Invite small movements into your body. Maybe wiggling your toes or very gently rolling your head from side to side. Maybe even stretching like you're waking up. You might place your palms somewhere on your body, just like you did at the beginning of class. Again, sending that kindness inward, that love, that compassion. As you feel ready, you can make your way to a fetal position on either side. Maybe pause there just for a moment. And as you pause, you might truly and deeply thank yourself for showing up for your practice and showing up for your life. Trusting that anything that you do for your highest and best good is for the highest and best of the all. As you feel ready, using the help of your hands, you can gently make your way into an easy seated position. Bringing your palms together at heart center. Feeling your thumbs right in the middle of your chest. As you inhale, feel that gentle rise, that lift into your thumbs. And exhale, spread your pinkies wide as if you're sending your light, your love, and your goodness out into the world around you. We'll take an inhale together through the nose. And exhale, sigh out the mouth. Thank you. Namaste.